Have you ever wondered how a country can be the world's largest oil producer, yet still not be able to fully use its own oil? Sounds strange, doesn't it? It's a bit like a farmer who grows crops on his own land, but still has to depend on someone else just to use what he produced. The truth is, the world we live in often looks very different on the surface compared to what's actually happening behind the scenes. And today we're going to uncover that hidden reality. Right now, thousands of ships are moving across the world's oceans. In fact, nearly 90% of global trade depends on these ships. Each one carries thousands of metal containers. The clothes you wear, the phone in your hand. At some point, many of these items were inside one of those containers. From the outside, everything may seem perfectly organized, but in reality, there's a huge imbalance hidden within this system. Over the past few decades, China has become the world's factory. It exports massive amounts of goods, but imports far less in comparison. So when container ships arrive in the US or Europe filled with Chinese products, that's where the real problem begins. The United States, for example, is one of the largest consumer markets in the world. It imports a lot, but exports much less. Let's say 100 containers arrive from China. Around 40 of them go back filled with goods. But what about the remaining 60? Many of them end up sitting empty, and sending empty containers back isn't cheap. It can cost around $3,000 per container. On the other hand, a fully loaded container could generate much higher revenue. Meanwhile, China can manufacture new containers at a relatively low cost. So instead of paying to ship old ones back, it's often more profitable to just build new ones. The result? Ports and cities around the world are filled with piles of unused, rusting containers. Some people turn them into small homes or storage units, but a large number of them remain unused. These silent metal stacks are a powerful symbol of imbalance in global trade. Now let's move on to oil. The United States is one of the largest oil producers in the world today, but surprisingly, it cannot fully utilize the oil it produces. There are a few key reasons behind this. The first reason is the type of oil. Most of the oil extracted in the US is light crude oil. But here's the problem. Many of the country's refineries were originally built to process heavy crude oil. That's because in the past, the US imported heavy oil from countries like Mexico and Venezuela. Upgrading these refineries to handle light crude would require massive investment. We're talking about around $200 billion, and that's not something that can be done quickly. So instead, the US exports its light crude oil at higher prices and imports heavier crude from other countries. The second reason is infrastructure. There aren't enough pipelines to efficiently transport oil from where it's produced to where it needs to be refined. For example, Texas produces a huge amount of oil. But getting that oil to refineries in other parts of the country isn't always easy. Even states like California rely heavily on imported fuel due to limited pipeline infrastructure. So despite having oil underground, it doesn't always reach the places where it's needed. Now let's look at another fascinating story: sanctions and global politics. Iran has been under strict economic sanctions for many years. This means it cannot freely buy or sell goods with many countries, yet somehow it still manages to operate modern passenger aircraft. So how is that possible? The story feels almost like a movie. Some old aircraft previously owned by foreign airlines were sitting abandoned. A third-party company stepped in and purchased them. Then, on paper, these aircraft were sold to companies in other countries. But those companies didn't actually exist. They were just shell companies created to bypass restrictions. Later, the aircraft were scheduled to fly to a different destination. But mid-flight, they turned off their tracking systems. They disappeared from radar and changed their route. Eventually, they landed in Iran. By the time authorities realized what had happened, it was already too late. On official documents, there was no direct connection to Iran. All of this shows us something important. The global economy and international politics are incredibly complex. What we see on the surface is often very different from the reality underneath. Decisions made in one part of the world can directly affect lives somewhere else. So the next time you hear about rising oil prices or shortages of goods, remember, it's not just about simple supply and demand. Behind it all lies a complicated system of shipping, infrastructure, trade, and diplomacy. From the outside, the world may seem simple, But underneath, it's deeply interconnected and complex.